Back in 2014, a low-budget Australian horror film introduced us to a brand new monster who happened to be wearing a top hat. And it wasn't jump scares that would eventually make the movie so popular, it was the sheer number of female viewers who watched the film and thought to themselves, "That reminds me of me." Not, "That was particularly scary" or "That was very original." That was actually me. The Babadook is not about a haunted house or another demonic possession. It's about a widow and her difficult son. And yet, for thousands of women, it became one of the most terrifying and cathartic films ever made. And so, why would a story about a mother resenting her own child make certain women feel seen and not judged? I'm going to answer that shortly, but first I am going to remind us about what actually happens in this story. Amelia Vanek lost her husband in a car crash on the way to deliver their son, Samuel. She's never processed the grief, and now, 7 years later, she is exhausted and single, and her son Samuel is a lot. Samuel is hypervigilant and very loud and completely convinced that monsters actually exist. And then seemingly out of nowhere, a mysterious pop-up book arrives called Mr. Babadook. The book itself has a very dark vibe to it, and everything rhymes, and its tone is extremely threatening. And gradually, over time, Amelia starts to become the monster from the book she's so afraid of. She starts hallucinating, and she screams at Samuel for the first time in her life, and eventually, she even tries to kill him. But here's a detail most casual viewers are going to overlook. She never actually hurts him. All of the violence in this story is internalized. The real battle is not about a mother versus her child. It's about a mother versus her own unspoken rage. And so, why then does that hit female audiences from such a different angle? Let's go a bit deeper. The simple reality is, most horror movies are written by guys, and as guys, we tend to externalize the evil. The monster is lurking out there somewhere, or it's hiding around a corner, or if we get really creative, he's waiting for us in our dreams. But The Babadook was written and directed by Jennifer Kent, and she built the horror off of something that was very real to her and very real to a lot of other women: the taboo thoughts of motherhood. This 2023 study in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that over 60% of mothers with young children reported feeling a rage they could not express. Not a sadness, not a frustration, a rage. And yet, society's message on the subject has always been abundantly clear. A good mother is patient and loving and never exhausted enough to scream at her own child. And so, what happens when a woman who's felt that rage for 7 years has no outlet for it? She becomes the Babadook. Not literally, but symbolically. The real monster in this movie is Amelia's bottled up grief and her total lack of support even from her family members, and her resentment towards Samuel, who she feels took her husband from her. And so female viewers in their 30s and 40s, who I would argue is this movie's target audience, recognize this immediately, because they have lived the milder version of this tale. The exhaustion they always mask with "I'm fine," or that fantasy about driving off to the store one day and just never coming back. This movie never condemns Amelia's feelings. It understands them. And that understanding is why some women actually cry at the end of this movie. It's not because they're scared, it's because they feel a kind of relief. Now let's talk about the book itself, because this is where Jennifer Kent plays a brilliant trick on the audience. Amelia burns the book, and then it reappears, somehow repaired, and she tears out its pages, and then new ones grow back. This is the Babadook telling her, the more you try and deny me, the stronger I am going to get. And so why does the physical book keep regenerating? Is it magic? The Babadook is not a demon, it is buried grief, and your grief won't just disappear because you decided to burn your journal. It'll only rewrite itself into bad dreams you'll end up having 3 weeks down the road. And for female viewers in particular who've been told to move on from past bad experiences and trauma, especially pregnancy loss or complicated births or even the death of a partner, these scenes feel devastatingly accurate, because you can never destroy the book. You can only learn to live with it sitting forever on your bookshelf. And that bookshelf does not represent defeat either. Here is the final layer that female audiences catch faster than anyone else. Most viewers assume Samuel is the real problem in this story because he's loud and disruptive and he seems to be making everything harder on Amelia. But try watching the movie again from a slightly different angle. What if Samuel is not some broken child? What if he's the only person in that house that can see things clearly? Not only does Samuel never hurt his mother, he is building weapons to protect her, and he's been trying to warn her about the dangers throughout the entire runtime. And when Amelia eventually fully transforms into the monster, Samuel doesn't run away. He doesn't even try launching one of his projectiles at her. Instead, he says, "I love you, Mom." And that is when the spell breaks. For female viewers, especially young mothers of young children, this reframes everything. The child is not the source of the rage. The child's innocent mind is the witness to the rage. And in that light, the film's most radical message is this: your child is always going to forgive you for having a monster inside you sometimes, but only after you stop pretending it doesn't exist. In this movie's semi-realistic ending, the Babadook gets relegated to the basement. Amelia still knows to keep her distance from it, but she feeds it worms. She doesn't kill it, because you can't kill 7 years' worth of untreated grief. You can only contain it and acknowledge it, and protect your child from its sharpest claws going forward. A lot of male critics called the ending of The Babadook unsatisfying. There's no final battle between the main character and the monster, there's no ingenious jump scare, and the monster itself doesn't even die. We're just shown a basement and a dog's dish full of worms. But female viewers seem to have a different understanding of the ending because for them, the film seems to reject a very common lie. The trauma can be destroyed completely. And instead, this movie offers a more honest truth. You can still live a good life with your monster in the basement. You check in on it every so often, you feed it just enough, then you go upstairs and play ghost with your beautiful child. This has been another Jonny Recaps Extra, and this video is over.